Welcome to the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and today we have special guest Linda Mitchell. Linda is a leading women's health expert, award-winning fitness competitor, best-selling author, top 50 podcast host, fitness boutique owner, and creator of the Sisterhood of Sweat brand. As a survivor of domestic violence, she was once physically beaten down and afraid of her own life. Linda has made it her mission to empower other women by helping them take responsibility for their health so that they can be in their best shape physically and emotionally. She's a graduate of the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, and Linda has worked with dozens of thought leaders such as Heidi Powell, J.J. Virgin, Natalie Jill, Anne Louise Gittleman, Dr. Will Cole, Lori Schmeck, and Elaine Lalane. She has appeared on ABC, NBC, and Fox, and Linda has also written her own column, Fit Over 40, and has spoken on numerous stages, including Podfest and Women's Future Conference. All right, welcome to the show, Linda.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
And this show started with my best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. And this last 12 months, we have hit every single situation globally, and it has been really tough on all of us. So I'd like to start off by asking each guest, if you have a story maybe you'd like to share with the audience of a time that you overcame a tough situation and how you got back on track.
Well, I would just have to say we can start with what was in my bio, but being in a domestic violence situation, you do learn how to survive. Mm-hmm. And not only that, though, if you leave your story behind, you learn how to thrive. And I think that really just, that whole dynamic, like, it isn't what happens to you in life, but it's what you do about it and what you become through it. And I've become a thriver. I'm not just a survivor. So when the pandemic hit, I understood that mode. Mm-hmm. And I just think, tough times don't last, but tough people do. So I just basically started working and put my nose to the grindstone and threw out everything, like the old business model, because I have a gym and we had to close for over 3 months. So I just threw everything out the window that I had been doing before and said, okay, what can I do right now in this very moment? How can, I want to focus on what I could actually control. Mm-hmm. And that is connecting with my customer. And so I actually think through the pandemic, we did workouts on Zoom. Uh-huh. We created better connections. We're more connected than ever. And we didn't do that in person. We did it on camera through the Zoom.
Yes, nice. And that's a wonderful thing. It seems that once we've had a tough situation in life and we learn how to overcome the one situation, we can just handle anything that shows up pretty much easier. It's easier. It doesn't mean that the situations don't exist. We can't pretend like they don't exist at all because they affect everything. Yet it's just easier to get back on our feet again. Definitely. And I'm wondering now, do you have your gyms open where you're at already?
Yes, the gym is open, but we have continued, of course, the social distancing. So this has been a weird year. I didn't market the entire year. I never marketed because I wanted to keep just, so that we could socially distance. I literally expanded during the pandemic, though. Mm-hmm. So, next month we'll be opening up twice the space so that I can keep the social distance practice. Mm-hmm. But we also still do Zoom. I still do live streaming. Mm-hmm. So I'll continue keeping that model. A lot of people like being able to get on the live stream, do it later, mm-hmm. or do it with me at home. They love that, or they don't even have to turn their camera on. So They kind of like that.
Yes. And I know for me, I'm actually in a studio that's in a gym at a country club. And where I live on a lake right now, my vacation home is at a lake, and we don't have working internet at the house. So you have to go to the gym to even if you want to go on the internet. Interesting. And we still have social distancing, so we do a lot of our classes outdoors when it's warm enough. We have outdoor yoga, tennis, all kinds of things. And the indoor classes are tough for me still because we have to wear masks where we're at. So I do my indoor on the Zoom, and they offer the Zoom too. And then I also do my own like Peloton and stuff at home because I can't do the mask thing, but when we're outdoors, we don't have to have the mask, and that's okay. So, so it's a little different. It's very different this year.
You
Definitely.
know, it is. And I think what I've told my clients, and also on my podcast, we talk a lot in length because people really, they need help because it's depressing to be stuck indoors. It's depressing to be isolated from all of your friends and your family. And some places they didn't really get to celebrate Christmas with their families. So, and funerals weren't able to be attended, and people couldn't be visited in the hospital. So this is a time where people are really hungry for connection. And
Mhm.
if you can create that connection, if you're a business owner, or just if you don't want to be, one of the people that are depressed, find a way that you can create that deeper connection with your friends, your family, your audience. And I think it really helps too if you can have a routine every day, even if you're not leaving to go into the office.
Mhm.
If you could have a routine, like maybe you'll get the routine you always wanted before, get a little bit of coffee, have a little meditation, do a little yoga, and then tune on to your Zoom conference call.
Yes. And I think that's the difference if you haven't been self-employed and now you're working from home, and maybe your hours are when you get the work done. It's a little different, and you're not used to having to create your own structure at home. It's a challenge. And that goes for even young college students or students at home. Their grades have changed. You could have an all A student in school, and now that they have to structure their time, they're struggling. And so that's definitely to create that schedule as if you're in a classroom or as if you're at a work schedule where you have to kind of be accountable to yourself and maybe have a friend or a few friends or classmates or whoever your work coworkers help you to stay on track, because that makes a difference. I mean, my work and sleep schedule is upside down and backwards, round and round. I mean, 3 a.m. I was going to bed. And it was just I had no stop time. I love everything that I do, so I would just keep working. I mean, it was just like, why stop? And all of a sudden it kind of caught up to me, and I had to like get back into regular sleep routine. So that happened. And I don't know if it was the stress
I
or
think so because a lot of my customers and myself have noticed after the longer the pandemic has went on, the more tired and off kilter we have become.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'd love to hear maybe some points as a fitness professional, points for those listening in on how to get back on track or stay the course if you're on a wellness mission or lifestyle, how to keep that going during this time of so much change.
Well, I think it really helps to be part of a community like mine, the Sisterhood of Sweat, because I have a course that we're all going to dive into. That's an 8-week course where we're all going to be on Facebook in the community, as well as I have it online with video and instruction, where you're not alone. You're not going through an eating plan alone, but you have support and somebody with knowledge to lead you by the hand. And mine is not the only course by any means. There are many courses out there and many communities that you could become a part of. And I think that really does help. Find something like you did, like Peloton. They've really got it down with the way that they jumped in that online space, and we've jumped in it as well. And I think many other gyms are starting to follow the trend. But you can also get some very inexpensive pieces of equipment that you could use at home and do a quick little workout. Like I was on Forbes Riley's masterclass the other day, and she is amazing. She's like 60, and she had this spin gym. But I'm telling you, you think like, what does that do? After you watch for a while, you get it. Everybody, she gives this free class at 12 noon, and everybody was dripping with sweat just using this little tool that's very inexpensive to get their heart rate up and get some toning. And I don't think you have to spend hours upon hours right now in the gym, but you do want to maintain some level of health and fitness, because I know it's a stressful time, and it's going to go a long way to helping you feel better, less depressed, more energy, more like yourself, for sure.
There's the endorphins that show up when I do. For many people, when you do a workout, you get that athlete's high. The endorphins kick in, and you're just like, okay, I've got energy. And I know for me, I feel better if I take the time off to do the exercises. And the days I don't, I feel like I don't know, I've lied to myself. I haven't taken care of myself, and I don't have that energy from the workout. So I don't get tired when I work out. I get like energized.
Right. It energizes you. And what I found is I cannot do it too late at night anymore, or I won't be able to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to get it in, not so late. We used to do a 7:30 class, which means you're not done till 8:30. So now I'm like, oh, I can only do the 5:30. Somebody else has to teach the 7:30.
Now, see, when the pandemic hit and I was up all night, I was actually doing a second hour on the bike at 2 a.m. So that may have contributed.
It revs you up, and you probably were like, I'm ready for the day now.
I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm so stressed. I'll go do a bike ride. And I would literally do a meditation, and they show all the different places, you know, like different countrysides in Europe and the US and different places all over the world. And I would do this, like I'm riding, and I'd do the class, and then there'd be a 15-minute cool down or 20-minute you could do. And I'd go through the place, and I would do this prayerful meditation over all those people there. And that was my meditation in motion. I still do it, but now I do it earlier in the day. And it really helped me feel like I wasn't trapped inside. Obviously, I take walks outside, but I live, my vacation home is in a desert. So there were times where it's either too hot or too cold to really, you know, do a lot out there. And so that really helped my sanity.
Oh, for sure. One of the things I really have to say, I know I always try to find the bright side. They were calling me at the studio Pollyanna that flies around with glitter and has a touch of Tinkerbell. So because I always want to flip things to a positive, because you feel better. You feel way better if you can find the positive in every situation. And right now the positive would be, find that thing that you've always wanted to do that you've never had time for, and do it. And do it during this pandemic when you're cooped up in the house. I can tell you, I've done many things since we were, you know, having to be on lockdown and unable to go places. We really had a pretty stringent lockdown here for a while. Mm-hmm. And I got certified at the Big Talk Academy. I joined Super Connector Media and did all sorts of things through them. That's why I'm on this with you today, Sheila. Mm-hmm. And it just did many things that I had not done. I'm doing this course right now to further what I can offer at my gym, and it's really cool. I'm going to be able to do tissue mineral analysis and blood tests, I'll be able to look at them and be able to say, oh gosh, you're missing this, you're missing that. Like, you don't have to guess anymore about what supplements you should take. But I'm just saying, like, find that thing that you've always wanted to do and do it now while you've got time if you're stuck at home.
Yes, I love that. And I think there was a time in my life where for 7 years I traveled full time. And I literally brought my youngest two. I have 6 children. I adopted three of mine. They're all mine, but 6. And so I traveled with the youngest two who were high school age, and they did college in the summer at Stanford. It was high school, college, and they traveled with me during the school year and did independent study. And we had a blast. And it was one of those things where my friends said, what are you doing? Oh my gosh, you shouldn't travel and they need to be in school. They learned so much. And it was the time of our lives. And I think now, I'm so grateful I took advantage of that time when travel was open and free and mask free and all that stuff. When I didn't know, it was I was invited to do and called to do, and we had a blast, and they definitely learned a lot. I'm a certified teacher as well, so they didn't not learn. And it was interesting because I look at this time the same way, as this is a time where we get to be with family, friends. It's a quiet season maybe in our life, but it's a time to take advantage, like you said, of those things we've always wanted to do that we need to be still a little bit for. So and we won't have this time again. My kids, the 2 youngest that are home with me, they're back from college because the dorms are closed, the schools are online only, and I'm loving every second of having them with me. And and we have fun together and we laugh and we have a different relationship as a parent to an adult child versus a parent to a child, obviously. And so it's kind of like magic moments we would never have if we didn't have this universal pause. So take advantage of the good. It makes all.
There's so much good still if you look for it, right?
Yes, so much.
Yeah.
And I did lose my youngest son. He had a heart condition, Wolff Parkinson White syndrome. We almost lost him in 5th grade, and he passed away December 21st, 2019, right before all this craziness happened. We had a gift of having him extra time. And it happens to a small portion of the population, and you never know. He was asleep at grandma's house. He just didn't wake up. And that makes you cherish every single moment with your loved ones, your family, your friends. It makes you realize what really matters. And like,
Right.
the good opinion of others, I don't give a flying duck. That's not important. The things that were important maybe before, you have a serious, and so many people have lost a loved one or have had a situation that's really been tough this last 12 months, and it just changes the focus and the direction, even for our young people, on what matters. They care about politics now. My young adults, my older children that are now married and this and that, they care about what's happening in our world so much more than just focused on career, which is kind of the way college and career, that's the way it is when you first start out. And now they're really involved. Before, I don't think they really voted, or they were like, okay, who should I vote for? Okay, whatever. It wasn't the same as now. And so I think there's so much to it. Now, I'd like to get back to maybe some tips. I know you did some competitive, what is it? When you do competitive.
Oh, like I did fitness competitions, bikini and figure, and Spartan races.
Oh, that is so interesting to me. And there's a lot of secrets that go with that. I'd love to hear maybe some healthy secrets that people don't know about how that works. When you're working on a competition and you're, getting into shape quickly, or to keep some of the muscle while you're losing some fat, and not like just lose fat and lose muscle too. Love to hear some of those secrets.
Well, food is your friend. And when you're doing something like that, you are focused. You write it down every single day. in a journal,
Mhm.
and you track what you're eating. Now, some people get crazy with the macros. I am more focused on what I'm eating, when I'm eating it, and how I'm combining it. So getting the proper amount of fats, protein, and carbohydrates, depending on where you're at in,
Mhm.
in your journey for the competition stage.
Right.
But writing it down, number one, that is a game changer. You write down your goals and then write down and track what you know, whatever you measure and track, you know, usually you succeed at. So you're going to track your food. And I just do it in a simple app
Mhm.
online. And I don't count calories at all. I'm virtually just making sure that I'm getting the ample amounts of protein, carbs, fat, and then of course water. Water, your body is 70% water. You want to drink plenty of water because it flushes out the excess water that we carry. If you're 70% water, you really got to think about this. If you're eating a lot of salt, sugar, you know, white flour, and toxins and all of that in your diet, you're going to carry a lot more water. And the more water you would drink, the more water you flush out. And it could be like a false fat on your body. So
Mhm.
if you would drink a half a gallon to a gallon per day per 100 pounds of body weight, you would be surprised at how much leaner, thinner, your rings are going to be sliding around. You're going to notice that, oh, yeah, I was carrying excess water. So
Mhm.
that would be a tip. And then equally, whatever it is you're wanting to be able to wear that you're not wearing now, take a picture of yourself in it every Friday and send it to somebody that would horrify you. No, you know what I'm saying. Like, I have a coach
Yeah.
for a competition, but maybe you should get a coach, because a coach helps you fine tune
Mhm.
and really step into things that maybe you don't know how to do, or you need an accountability, right? Having accountability is huge.
Mhm. Yes, it does make all the difference, and the one time in my life that I really got into shape, I actually did hire a fitness trainer, and he's actually no longer with us, he passed away, but
Aw,
he had a picture. I met him in a Pilates studio, and he worked with a lot of celebrities in Hollywood. This was in Hollywood, California, and famous cheerleaders, all these famous people. And I was like, okay, well, tell me about what you do, you know. And he was an instructor there part time, and he'd have the people come in after they closed up, and they would let me stay. And so I said, I want to sign up. And he had a picture of himself with a pot belly, no muscle ever. You didn't see any muscle on his body. And it said it took 1 year, and he got on the cover of Muscle and Fitness magazine. And he got on twice in that 1 year from not having. Now, men, it is a little easier for men to gain muscle faster, obviously, but he was such a loving soul because he wasn't in judgment, because he had actually walked those steps and knew the journey,
right,
and so he walked his talk, and
right,
it was, he told me, "Oh my gosh, you're not eating enough. You're eating the wrong foods.
right. Usually you're not eating
Like
enough, and
800
that's the problem.
calories a day?"
Yeah,
And I was like, "Yeah, and I can't lose weight. What is going on?" And it was like this whole switch of timing. It was
yeah.
a lot of exercise, a lot, and every single day where there was a different body part you'd have to work, and
That's right. That's it. I didn't even mention that.
yes, yes, and then there was the resting, and then it was timed. The way he did it was timed protein, like, and everything was measured, everything else, but it was like you'd have to have something with protein after you work out within 20 minutes in order to maintain the muscle while you're losing the fat, or else you'd be like kind of injuring the, like, not be as helpful.
Well, you definitely have to make sure you're getting the appropriate amounts of protein and also fat, because it's healing to the joints. And carbohydrates are necessary, but you do not get to eat cake. I'll say that.
Yes. And you know, it's funny, when I do eat cake, it never works out. You know, this is a wild thing. So there I was, 800 calories a day. And he says, in the next 3 to 4 weeks, we're going to get your metabolism up by eating this and doing these exercises in this fashion. And you're going to get up to 1,600 calories a day. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm going to gain so much weight. Well, I was starving by like week 2 and week 3, and I was losing weight. And it got to the point where I didn't have to think about it. I just followed this plan.
Right. It really, that's it right there. It's the lifestyle.
And when I followed it, it worked. And now I'm actually back on it now. So yay. So I found the old book and all the old things that he said, and I'll probably join your program so I can stay accountable with a good, fresh group. And, you know, it's interesting though, because I didn't believe it was possible. And I think that's the important part, that no matter where you're at in this journey of wellness, it's not about even looks as much as feeling and for yourself, and that it is actually possible. It's like almost impossible if you really follow it to not have success. I couldn't believe it. I was totally shocked, but it was work.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I think that it's really important. What you're just hitting on is belief.
Mm-hmm.
Belief in yourself that you can accomplish it, because if you don't believe it, you won't put forth the effort that it requires to get there. And so I think belief is important, but one of the ways to start believing in yourself is to stop over promising and under delivering. So if you want to do something, make smaller promises to yourself that you can actually keep. Mm-hmm. So that you can build a relationship of trust with yourself. Because the reason why you might not be believing in yourself is you're telling yourself you're going to do X, Y, Z, and you're setting the bar so stringent to start that you can't quite make it over. So start smaller. Yes. Start with a promise you can keep, and then start building upon that, and that's going to build trust and belief.
You know, and if you have, I think it's really important to get a health checkup. Check in with your doctor before you start anything or make adjustments. I mean, obviously, if you're going to like sugar and eat like vegetables, I'm sure you're okay. But, you know, for the most part, it's good to check in. If you have health conditions that may make it more difficult, like you said, fit over 40, there's a certain point in us ladies' lives where things slow down. Even if they're fast, they slow down.
Yes. You're preaching to the choir. I had some injuries that I really had to pay attention. I tried to live in denial, but that didn't work out too well for me. And so you learn that you can still move forward. You just have to move forward in a different way. Mm-hmm. So, you know, walk on the incline, burn a lot of calories that way. You're going to lessen the impact, or whatever it is you need to do. There's always a way to modify in your situation. And if it's rest you need, make sure you take it.
Yes. And there's this hormonal thing that happens at a certain age where things just metabolism slows down. And it's almost like you've got to do more to stay at the same place or keep up.
Actually, you have to do less. That's the myth.
Really? I'd love to hear. Let's hear about this. Okay. This is important.
So, like, I'm 58. So what I found was I was doing, because of the competition lifestyle, mm-hmm. I was doing way too much. And so my body really let me know. First of all, it let me know with injuries. Okay, yeah. And I'm not saying your typical working out stuff. I'm saying I was jumping through the air and flying into the splits and crazy stuff like that. My body let me know it wasn't having it. On top of everything else, a heavy workout load, like I was doing way too much. So But what I learned just as a normal participant and with all of my participants, once you hit a certain age and you get into menopause, you're not making estrogen, as you know, and you may not be making any, but you're definitely decreasing it. And so you could not only have bone loss, but you can tear muscles much easier. So that would be one clue. Make sure you're not overdoing it. But equally, the thing with the estrogen is that used to absorb all your stress. Now you don't have that. So you're spiking cortisol because you're lacking estrogen. So the biggest weight loss tool I can give you is meditate, sleep more, make sure you're getting at least 8 hours of sleep. You walk away from arguments, because what happens if you're getting stressed or you're getting fright, or the fight or flight response, is you're spiking cortisol. And cortisol is what makes you, like, it can cause you to hold on to belly fat, it can cause you to gain weight, and also, like the injury that I had, it could cause that because it starts cannibalizing the muscle. So the biggest thing that I find with women is if they can maintain a healthy fitness level, and you could walk on an incline. You don't have to run. You actually burn more calories walking on a pretty high incline versus running. You can find ways to work out that your body isn't getting in that fight or flight response, because it's a lot easier to get into it when you're lacking that estrogen.
Now, how does that cortisol work for men? Men still have that same cortisol belly fat situation?
They get the same thing because they start losing testosterone. And for them, depends. Like, they probably have a lot of stress at that time, at that age. They need to de-stress as well, and make sure, go to a doctor and have them test your levels, female or male, to see what your levels are and see how high is your cortisol. Because if your cortisol is through the roof, that number one would be why you're gaining weight and why you're unable to lose it.
Yes, that can keep you stuck. Wow. That would be terrible. And that could definitely, I could see that this year, or this last 12 months here, can totally do that to just about anybody. And they say, oh, COVID-20. Well, I think that has a lot to do with that, more than even sitting on the couch, because people still exercised and they may have had less success with the cortisol spiking up. I'm not sure.
Well, I think what you find, and what it's, you would start working out more, right? Because you think, oh gosh,
yeah,
it's harder now. I need to work out harder. I need to eat less.
Yeah.
No, it's the stress. It's the stress. So if you recognize that, because if you've already tried the other and it didn't work for you, it's like doing the same thing over and over is insanity, right? You're not going to get different results. So you have to let go of the notion that you have to work harder and realize, oh, my body, it needs less stress. So if my cortisol is high, I run. I'm a runner. I had to say, okay, I will still run. I won't run as long. I won't run as many times per week. And I'm telling you, when I would run too much, my belly would blow up. And when I stopped overdoing, it starts just flattening out. So I really think it really is a huge thing. If women really start paying attention to their stress and try to relieve it, that's the secret.
Right. Wow, that's pretty good. And what about the day of rest or resting different muscles? How do you incorporate that into workouts and life? I know a lot of men and women that they'll try to overcompensate, and all of a sudden they're like, oh shoot, I'm going to do so many arm exercises every day because I messed up and got off track.
Oh, right. I hear you. So that seems like a twofold question, but I'll try to answer the first one first. You really, well, first of all, you can't out-train a bad diet. So make sure you get a hold of your nutrition, because that's 75 to 85% of your results. And if you are in menopause or having hormone issues, that would be the first place I would start. Then, as far as working out, you at least should have 1 to 2 rest days a week. So where you're you know, you could do an active rest if you're crazy, you know, like you feel like,
Yeah.
you could go walk, you know, you could play some tennis with a friend. You don't, it doesn't have to be a focused workout, but you should be giving your body rest, because if otherwise you're continually breaking it down, and the body needs rest so that it can perform at optimal levels, so that you can get muscle, so you can be lean. You have to give your body rest.
Right. Yes. And that even goes for your brain. Like neuroplasticity, I interviewed someone about this whole brain training and neuroplasticity. And we actually learn not in the classroom, not while we're studying really hard for a test. It's when we sleep, and it's the recovery time is when the actual neurons connect and actually and actually your learning actually connects and works. Bless you. You're blessed.
I came here just for the blessing.
But that's so interesting that even our learning. So if you have children at home or young adults at home, they need an exercise, you know, just like school gives them playtime, recess time, they need to have that break at home. Don't forget. And I've worked with parents over this last year that they're like, I don't know, my kids are always fighting, da da da. And we talked about it, and what they forgot was to play. They did it.
Right.
Play. It was serious. It's like, you know, their business. Kids have got to study. They've got to eat. They've got to clean up. And they stopped playing altogether with all the stress going on. And I was like, that's all you need. Just play, and the fighting will disappear. And 99.9% of the time, that's it. The fighting disappeared. The grades went up because they need that time to exhale.
Oh my gosh, totally. And I want to add to that. I want to say, if you're in a relationship, because I think during COVID, it could go one of two ways. It could get better or it could get worse. And I don't know if there's any in between right now. But I would just say, if you could find some ways to have fun with your mate, like, did you forget because you were so busy working and taking care of the kids and having a job and, you know, trying to survive, to play? Because I want to just say, my husband and I have been playing more and laughing tons, and that didn't start at the beginning, but now I can see why that's so beneficial. Like at night now, when we're going to bed, we have like private jokes. We're cracking up or cracking each other up. We're laughing hysterically, and it's fun. See, then you like, oh gosh, I want to spend more time doing that with my partner and less time fighting.
Yes, I think that's beautiful, and it's so true. We're coming into Valentine's Day before you know it here, and it's so important for relationships, especially now, whatever relationship or even friendships, whatever's going on in your life, where you have fun, and make it light and fun, because things are kind of serious. And so we need that, especially around families, because the kids, they're going to feel it. Just if they hear mom and dad laughing, they're like, okay, it's good. We're going to have fun too. We can relax. It's not, you know, not so much tension. They're not going to have so much cortisol. And it's going to make a big difference. So good. I love it.
I mean, it's something the other night had me laughing so hard when I tried to tell my girls at the studio about it. I couldn't even finish. I would start laughing. Then they started laughing. So laughter is very contagious.
Yes. Yes. And so now we're coming to the end of our talking time, and I'd love to maybe get a picture of how to sign up for your program, what the program looks like, so that those listening in, if they want to join the program and get fit, how that could work.
Okay. They can go to sisterhoodofsweat.com and look for the Sweat Project. And it is an 8-week course. They can sign up there, and then they'll automatically get added to the community. And the plan is laid out in the book and online in the course. where you'll be able to get your grocery list in advance, and you'll be able to see what you're doing, when you're doing it, why you're doing it, and how
Mm.
to do it.
Oh, that's wonderful. That sounds perfect. So it's done for you. That is incredible. So that's great. All right. Well, thank you again for being a guest on the show, Linda.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I hope that everybody benefits from some of our tips today.
All right. Take care. And if you're listening in, stay tuned. We'll be back after these messages.